Love isn't always simple, and passion often comes at a price. Welcome to Intrigue Romance, where secrets, betrayal, and forbidden desires collide. Tonight, we take you into a story you won't forget, where love is never what it seems. The rain came down in thick sheets, drumming on the roof of the car as Luke gripped the steering wheel tightly, his knuckles pale. His jaw was clenched, and his dark eyes were fixed on the wet, winding road ahead. Beside him, Emily sat, her breathing shallow and her hands gripping the edge of her seat. The tension between them was almost as heavy as the storm outside. "Luke, slow down." Emily's voice trembled, her wide eyes flicking between him and the blurred road outside. "Please. This isn't safe." Luke didn't respond at first, his foot pressing harder on the gas as the car sped along the dangerous curve. The sound of the tires skidding slightly on the wet asphalt made Emily's stomach churn. "Luke," she shouted, louder this time. "I don't want to talk about it, Emily." Luke finally snapped, his voice sharp and filled with frustration. "You always act like you have everything figured out. Like you're perfect. You don't know what it's like to feel completely out of place." Emily's heart ached at his words. She had never seen Luke like this before, so angry, so vulnerable. She swallowed hard, trying to steady her voice. "I know you're upset," she said, softer now. "But you're scaring me. Please slow down, it's hurting me." Her words hung in the air, cutting through the tension like a knife. Luke's grip on the wheel faltered for a moment. He glanced at Emily, noticing the fear in her eyes, the way her hands trembled slightly. Something inside him shifted. He eased his foot off the gas, the car gradually slowing to a safer speed. The sound of the engine softened, and the oppressive tension in the car began to ease. Emily exhaled shakily, her chest rising and falling as relief washed over her. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The rain continued to pour, but the car felt quieter now, calmer. "I'm sorry," Luke said finally, his voice barely above a whisper. He kept his eyes on the road, but his tone was sincere. Emily studied him, her fear giving way to a deep sense of empathy. "I know you're going through a lot," she said gently. "And I know this whole situation hasn't been easy for you. But you can't keep shutting me out, Luke. We're family now, whether you like it or not. You don't have to go through this alone." Luke let out a bitter laugh, shaking his head. "Family? Come on, Emily. You and your mom have this perfect little life. I'm just the guy who got thrown into it all. I don't belong here." "That's not true," Emily said firmly. "You do belong. It's going to take time for all of us to figure this out. But you're not alone in this, Luke. You matter. To me, to Mom, and to Dad. We all care about you, even when you make it hard." Luke's throat tightened. He hadn't expected her to say that, and for a moment, he didn't know how to respond. He had spent so long feeling like an outsider, like a burden. Hearing Emily's words felt like a lifeline. "I just feel so lost," he admitted quietly, his voice raw with emotion. "I get that," Emily said. "But you don't have to do this alone. I'm here for you, Luke. Always." The rest of the drive was quiet, but it wasn't the same tense silence as before. It was a peaceful stillness, one filled with unspoken understanding. By the time they pulled into the driveway, the rain had stopped, and the first light of dawn was breaking through the clouds. As they stepped out of the car, Luke hesitated for a moment before turning to Emily. "Thanks," he said, his voice soft but sincere. Emily smiled, her expression warm. "Anytime, Luke. Anytime." For the first time in what felt like forever, Luke allowed himself to believe that maybe, just maybe, he wasn't as alone as he thought.